So as we said, we're talking about emotional wellness and how aromatherapy supports us with that. So there is definitely a link between smell and emotions. So just as a quick question, how many people, and you can just shout out yes or no, think that we smell with our noses? I see one person, yes. Okay. Is there anyone who thinks that we don't smell with our noses? Anyone there? Okay, so the truth is we actually don't smell with our noses, but our noses have a very important role in supporting what we smell with. And what we actually smell with is our brain. So what happens is that when we smell something, there are molecules that come off of that particle and it travels up the nose so that the nose provides a route to the brain. And what happens when we smell is that these chemical molecules travel up our nose to a part of the brain called the olfactory epithelium, which is a very thin layer of cells. And they come in contact at that point with olfactory cilia, which are these hair-like projections. And these cilia actually make contact with the molecule and it stimulates the sense of smell. So we smell with the olfactory nerve, which is a part of our brain. So next time somebody asks you, what do you smell with? You'll know that it's not your nose, but it's actually your brain. And where it sits in the brain is extremely important as well, because where it sits in the brain is in the middle of what we call the limbic system. And the limbic system is the seat of our emotions. It deals a lot with our memory. It deals a lot with our arousal. It deals a lot with how we survive day to day. So it's a very important placement. And this is why, because of where it's located in the brain, this is why you have the relationship with smell and memory, or smell and emotions, or smell and sex. So there is a connection. They're all in the same neighborhood. And so they all have an influence on each other. So that is the scientific, very, very scientific, um, perspective of smell. And I want to say this, which I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but smell is still one of these senses that is a mystery in science. It's one of those very subconscious senses, and it's also a mysterious sense. In fact, science does not know exactly how it works. Um, and the pursuit of that information has led to Nobel Prize winners. Like I think it was 2004. I might get the year wrong, but I believe it was 2004. There were two scientists, a Linda Beck and a Rachel Axel. And these two scientists won the Nobel Prize because what they started to discover was how the brain recognizes scents. And as human beings, we're not really the top, we're not really top dog, quote, pun intended there. We're not really top dog when it comes to the sense of smell. But the average human can detect about 10,000 scents. And they're still trying to figure out how we do that, how we catalog it. It's still a mystery. So it's a very interesting sense to deal with. And again, this is the link between smell and our emotions. So we talked a little bit about this already, but what I wanted to say here is that when it comes to aromatherapy takes almost an instant to get started, to create a physiological effect. In other words, to create this opportunity for healing in the body. So once you smell an essential oil, it takes, according to research, 20 seconds to start a physiological effect. So after just 20 seconds, you start to get some of that healing benefits of the oil. Now, not only does it take 20 seconds to get started, but the effects last up to 8 hours in the body. And that's how impactful essential oils are. I think essential oils are, I call them nature's gift to us and our healing, right? Because there's so much out there, whatever it is that you need support with, you can find an oil to support you. Really, there's just really an endless amount of healing potential when you start working with essential oils. So, one of the things that we want to talk a little bit about today is about Ayurveda and how essential oils play a part with Ayurveda and how we can use it to really personalize our journey. So, right now, this is winter for some of us. I'm in Miami, as I said before, so it was 80 degrees today. So, I don't know if that's technically, you know, winter. We just moved into spring on the 20th, last Friday. So, we're doing a seasonal shift. And in Ayurveda, whenever we switch from one season to the next, there are routines that we have to employ because there are changes that we meet when we meet a new season. And when it comes to our skin, when we're thinking about winter skin, winter is Vata season. Vata season on the skin, it makes the skin dry. All that cold, crisp air makes the skin dry, it makes it dehydrated, and it makes it rough and flaky. So that's the impact of winter or Vata season on the skin. When it comes to spring, spring is when we have the energy of Kapha in full bloom. And in Kapha season, the impact on the skin in spring is that there's a little bit more oil production that can lead to some congestion in the skin. There is more of an opportunity for fluid retention that can lead to puffiness, not just under the eyes, but in general. And there tends to be a little dullness. So this is how we can navigate once we understand what the season brings and what the Ayurvedic perspective on the skin that takes place during these seasons. Then we have an idea of how we can work to keep it in balance. Because in the end of the day, when we think of Ayurveda, the one word that should be predominant is this concept of living in balance. Let's just start with what we have here, which is my skin is dry equally everywhere. So, yes, that is reflective of maybe Vata skin. And the reason I say maybe is because, again, it would be best to take the entire quiz to get a better, rounder picture of your skin. But just looking at that response, that speaks to Vata. And so, and again, Vata season, Vata is the combination of air and ether when we talk about the five elements. And it is characteristically dry, cold, light, rough, uneven. So you may notice not only dryness, but you may notice that the skin is a little thin. You may notice that there may be discoloration or some unevenness in the skin. And it is prone to wrinkles. So the beauty of Ayurveda, when you look at the word Ayurveda, Ayus means life and Veda means science or knowledge. And so when we look at this science or knowledge of life, and they have taken every single perspective, um, what you'll notice with Vata is that to balance it out, you're needing to do what they call the opposite of the qualities. So to balance out dry, you're going to need something that's super hydrating, super moisturizing. When you think about things that are, as I said, it's the dry lines, the wrinkles, the prone to that. You may also think about things that will support that and to give the skin some even tone. And we're talking about Shankara products, and Shankara products are incredible for many reasons. And one of them is that they are leaning on these traditional recipes that are 5,000 years plus, and also combining them with modern ingenuity and really creating an opportunity to create this kind of balance and beauty and to support, Ayurveda is often called the science of longevity. And so to support this kind of um, graceful aging. That's the best way to put it. So for skin that's dry equally everywhere, you may support it with Vata balancing products. And when you go online to Shankara and you have the website there, you will see clearly that each product, you will get not only the ingredients for each product, but you'll also get what skin type it supports. So I know this is not exactly the time to talk about the products, but so for example, the hydrating cleanser, you'll see that it really is about hydrating the skin that is dry, and it really supports this kind of Vata and even sometimes Pitta skin. Just to let you know, in North America, we have the most common skin type is Pitta in North America. So most people are going to have some kind of Pitta type skin. And then after that, you'll notice some Vata. And of course, there's always people that will be Kapha skin, but for the most part in North America, we're predominantly Pitta type skin. Now, Pitta type skin, there are different variations as well. You can have normal skin. And when we talk about Pitta, just to, as I described Vata, let me describe Pitta. Pitta is when we talk about elements, it's mainly fire. Some places you'll see fire and water, but it is mainly fire. So it's this kind of heat and that's coming in the skin. You'll notice it, usually people will have an undertone of red, no matter what their skin color is or skin type. And so that is usually an indication of Pitta. So you could have just a normal Pitta skin. It's or you could have a combination. You can have oily, oily skin, maybe in the T zone, or you could have oily and dry, where you have part of the face that's dry and part of the face that's oily. And also with Pitta skin, you will see there's often a level of sensitivity. They're often, whether it is sensitivity to products and ingredients, or sensitivity to the sun, or a tendency for inflammation, you'll notice that with Pitta skin. So my skin is oily equally everywhere. That could be Pitta. It could also be a little Kapha as well. So your skin is oily, but predominantly in the T zone. Yes, that would probably be Pitta, or it could be a little Kapha as well. So with Kapha, we have, as we're stepping into spring and we're stepping into Kapha season, you'll tend to be a little bit more oily. Kapha is a little bit more oily. Kapha skin tends to be thick. And it tends to be balanced evenly, with the exception of sometimes some very deep cystic pimples. When you see acne, that tends to be Pitta as well. That's a lot of the inflammation and the heat. So whether you have Vata skin, Pitta skin, or Kapha skin, you'll notice that you still have to work on balancing your skin as you move through each season. So maybe you will need a little bit more moisture in the winter, And maybe as you come into spring, you will need not as much. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me just keep moving on so that we can get through everything. And definitely, I would encourage you to go ahead and do the quiz because you'll get a much more complete picture than just one question, which we're focusing on today. So let's talk about aromatherapy for each of the doshas. For Vata, we talked about dry, and when we talked also about light, light meaning the opposite of heavy. So when there's a lot of Vata, there's this kind of lightness. Remember, it is air and ether. So it's all the way up here. And so essential oils that help to ground you, to bring you down to the ground and give you that sense of balance tend to be oils that support Vata. So we have things like sweet orange, cedar wood, any kind of wood or any kind of roots are good for Vata. Um, Cardamom, nutmeg, any kind of seed tends to be good for Vata. Vetiver and patchouli. Now, this is absolutely not a complete list. This is just a few options for you, but you can definitely take time and research. And again, when you're looking for oils that support Vata to kind of calm Vata and ground Vata, look for oils that, as a part of their properties, they're oils that are grounding. Okay. They're grounding, Vata is cold. They're also warming or heating, and they help to balance Vata. So for Pitta, as we said, Pitta is fire. And so we're looking for essential oils that are going to soothe that fire, that are going to cool that heat. And so essential oils that are really supporting and soothing and balancing to Pitta are rose, ylang ylang, sandalwood, chamomile, lavender, and lime. So you'll see that there's a lot of florals when it comes to supporting Pitta, and it is to kind of bring in this kind of sweetness to help to soothe Pitta. Okay. And next we have Kapha. Now, Kapha, as we said, is earth and water, or maybe I didn't say that yet. So if I didn't, let me just say that. The elements that are exhibited in Kapha are earth and water. So they're very heavy, they're very grounded, they're very steady. And so to balance Vata, you want to kind of lighten them up, energize them, and uplift them. So some good examples of oils that support, energize, and uplift Kapha would be grapefruit. Juniper berry is excellent for kapha. It speaks to a lot of that kind of cold and clammy feeling, getting that out of the body. Eucalyptus, rosemary is wonderful. Geranium is also excellent for kapha, and bergamot. Now, as I said, this is a very, very short list. Um, I can't tell you how short it is, but at least it will get you started. And you'll notice, as I said, with Vata, they're usually oils that are grounding. With Pitta, they're usually oils that are soothing and floral. And for Kapha, you'll also know that they're very energizing. They're very, maybe a little mentholy, a little citrusy, things that are energizing. And that will support you with Kapha. I also want to say that, truly, most of us are bidoshic. So we have more than one dosha expression. And so you can mix and match these oils. And you can also use them during the seasons as seasonal support as well. So if you're having a day which is maybe wet, rainy, you're feeling a little heavy, maybe you can go to a kapha oil to support you, maybe a little grapefruit or a little rosemary or eucalyptus, right? So keep that in mind. Um, Also keep in mind that every dosha lives in a certain part of the body, or governs a certain part of the body. So, for example, when you look to kapha, kapha resides in the respiratory system. So, oils like eucalyptus and rosemary that support the respiratory system are really wonderful during kapha season. Similarly, with pitta, Pitta lives in the eyes, and so you want something very wonderful and cooling. So rose, like a rose, um, eye cotton balls over the eyes are so soothing and cooling to the eyes. I don't have a particular oil for Vata, but Vata lives in the colon. And so, anything that will stir the colon and help support proper elimination would support Vata. Um, Vata, wonderful thing to support Vatas during Vata season or just anytime you feel that excess of air and ether. Think about what you can do with the feet. You could use any of these oils and do a nice foot massage, right? So just like you could use the rose for the eyes on Pitta, or you can use the eucalyptus to breathe in and support the respiratory system for kapha. Okay. So I hope this will encourage you to continue exploring essential oils, particularly as to how they support each of the doshas. So let's talk about some rituals. And I wanted to do rituals not only for the face, but I also wanted to do rituals for the body. So we're going to start for the face. And again, I would strongly encourage you to go over to shankara.com, look at the quiz, and then also look at the products that support balance for your skin. So a nice, wonderful ritual for the skin, regardless of the season, is to do the 1, 2, 3. And the 1, 2, 3, we're going to start with the serums. And so if you are a Vata Pitta skin type, then you may choose the Rose Revitalizing Serum. If you are a Pitta Kapha, you might try the Meadow Sweet Revitalizing Serum. Now, these serums are packed with nutrients and they really support the skin. I'm going to share one of my favorite products. I'm at the point where I don't wear foundation. The only thing I'm wearing on my skin today is Shankara, a Shankara Kumkumadi oil. That's all I have. That and lipstick. That's it. But you can do this before you put on that final oil. And then after that, all of us are here wanting to live our lives and to be healthy and whole. And also, very importantly, is to feel, wonderful and to look wonderful at every age. And so this ageless serum is for all three types, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. It doesn't matter what you are. And it really helps to plump the skin. And it is a collagen boosting serum. So that would be your second layer. And then the final layer is oil. And I know this is probably one of the most challenging conversions for most people because we are told not to put oil on our skin. But in Ayurveda, oil is nourishing, it's hydrating, it's moisturizing. And so it really supports our skin, the health of our skin. So I just tell people you don't need a lot, you just need a little and it will make a difference in the health of your skin, not only on your face, but all over your body. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So for Vata, use the Nourish oil. For Pitta, the Fine Line oil. And for Kapha, the Balance oil. So that's your little ritual for your face for the seasons. And so let's talk about rituals for the body. So in Ayurveda, we have daily rituals, things that we do every day to support our wellness and our well-being. And I really encourage people to do as many of the daily rituals as you can, but I also recommend that you start with one, get that under your belt, and then you step into the next one. Because what happens when you get a list of daily rituals, you're like, oh, I have no time for this. And believe me, you have time. And believe me, you deserve this kind of attention to yourself and your well-being every day. So the number one ritual I always recommend is Abhyanga. So Abhyanga is oiling of the limbs. That's what it's to help the limbs glow. And you do this every day where you take oil and you can use some of the essential oils that I recommended to blend, and you can blend it into a carrier oil. So although I don't have this listed on the slide, I do want to share with you some carrier oils that would be good for each dosha. So if you're Vata in nature, you might want to use a sesame oil. If you're Pitta in nature, you might choose a coconut oil. And if you're Kapha in nature, you might try a safflower oil or sunflower oil. So there are more oils that you can use, but just as an example, you could use those. And you can use this carrier oil as your base, and you can add in essential oils. So essential oils, what people do as the number one error is that they overuse them and they put more than they should. You don't have to overuse essential oils at all. The motto that I have, which I tell everyone, is less is more. Less is more. So these essential oils, they do go directly into your bloodstream when you are applying them topically. And they do create, as we talked earlier, a physiological effect. So you don't want to overdo it. And you should always know the property of the oils that you're using to make sure that there's no contraindications or potentially adverse effects for you. Not every essential oil is for everyone at all times. So just as a measure, you can use the ratio of 10 to 20 drops per ounce, which is a 2 to 5% ratio. You really don't need any more than that. And as I said before, please make sure that you understand the property of each essential oil because you want to make sure it's the right oil for you at the right time. So just as an example, there are some essential oils that are phototoxic. So if you're wearing them and going out of the sun, they may become irritating. There's some essential oils that are not good to use when you're pregnant. You may use it in labor. You could use it afterwards, but at the beginning of your pregnancy, they may not be optimal. So as I said before, it is quite important to find the properties, make sure you research that and make sure that you're using the right oil at the right time for you. So Abhyanga is good for any season. It's good for all the seasons of the year. It's one of those daily rituals that you can spend time with yourself, really honoring your body and oiling it. Dry brushing is a great ritual to add at this particular time of the year as we are stepping into spring. It helps to get rid of that old skin from the winter skin. It's a way to slosh off that winter skin. And for dry brushing, we do really want to start all the way at the bottom of the body, work up the legs, and work up this way. We're helping the lymph to move, and we're also getting rid of old dead skin. So it's a really wonderful way to transition from Vata winter season into spring, right? And then tongue scraping. Tongue scraping is also a great ritual to do as soon as you wake up in the morning. Um, there is, it's a metal that you use to scrape your tongue and to scrape off any of the toxins or ama that has come up to the surface while you're sleeping and the organs are detoxing. So it's the first thing to do in the morning. And what I would say to you is if you are a Vata type and you can find a gold tongue scraper, great. If you're Pitta and you can find a silver, which is most common, you can get that most anywhere, that would be the best for you. And if you are Kapha, then if you can find a copper tongue scraper, that would be great. But if you can't, and you can just get a great quality stainless steel, that would be wonderful, just as long as you scrape your tongue. Okay? So, as I said, the most challenging part of this webinar is to choose a product to highlight because every product is my favorite product, and I'm not even lying. This took me the longest. This slide took the longest part of preparation for this presentation. So this is one of my favorite oils. It is presently what I'm wearing. I wear kumkumadi. I don't wear foundation much anymore. This is what I use. So as you can see, I'm not the only one that thinks this way about kumkumadi. It is an award-winning product. So a lot of people agree with me. And I trust that when you try it, you will also join the club. So it's a really great, first of all, it's a very traditional recipe with a lot of traditional ingredients, including saffron, um, lotus, and so many other deeply balancing and replenishing ingredients. And it is wonderful for gracefully aging. It is wonderful for evening out the tone and brightening the skin. And most importantly, especially as we transition from seasons, it is very nourishing and moisturizing for the skin. This particular oil, another reason I chose it is because it can be used for all the different doshas. Okay, so Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So please, definitely take an opportunity to try this product. And it's something that you notice slowly. Like most products, the first day you put it on, you're not going to notice necessarily a huge difference. But as you continually use this product, you will see the difference it makes you will literally start to glow. So I believe that is it.